What's good, everyone? We're back with part 4 of the entire Elbaf breakdown. Today we're covering Imu's full lore, his actual powers, everything we know about the guy so far, Loki's real strength, the strongest thing in the world right now, the legendary devil fruit tied to Elbaf and Loki's true form, how Domy Reversy actually works, and how you even save someone from it, Nika's hidden connection to Elbaf, Imu's own ties to the island, and of course, Ragnir, Loki's hammer. So without further ado, let's dive straight into some peak One Piece. The story continues. At the western village, the army of the Domy reverse giants has already reached Elder Jarul. Dory and Brogy step forward, ready to kill him. At the same time, Zoro arrives at the west village along with Hajrudin, Stanson, and the others. Zoro immediately asks if it is fine for him to cut down the giants if needed. Hajrudin tells him yes, but reminds him they are facing the entire warrior crew. Saving Elder Jarul matters, but the pride of these warriors matters too. The Domy reverse giants then shift their attention toward the approaching group and start mocking Hajrudin. They ask him if his dream of uniting all giants is finally finished. That comment hits hard. Hajrudin and Stanson get visibly angry and tell Zoro this is his moment to move. Before anything else happens, Hajrudin warns Zoro not to get caught between the giants or let them surround him. If that happens, he will also be turned into a demon. From their shoulders, Zoro launches himself high into the air. This is his plan. He will not fight them from the ground. By staying above them, he avoids being surrounded and avoids the Domy Reversy effect entirely. The giants try to grab him, but they cannot keep up. When Zoro reaches the center of the demon giants, he jumps even higher into the air, completely above them. He readies all 3 blades and unleashes his attack. 3 sword style, secret technique, crossing of the 6 paths. His swords flash and the attack rains down on every nearby giant, cutting them with devastating force in a single sweeping motion. Using the momentum, Zoro propels himself straight toward Dory and Brogy. The 2 demon giants immediately turn their rage toward him and swing their massive weapons at the same time from opposite sides. Zoro uses his swords to push off their attacks and launches himself out of the way at the last second. Dory and Brogy end up striking each other instead, their weapons cut through shields and flesh, drawing blood. Everyone watching is left in complete shock as the legendary giants deal devastating blows to one another. It is a brutal callback to their old battles, but this time they attack one another. The scene then shifts to Brook at Branch 8. His body is still wrapped in bandages and restraints, but he crawls forward inch by inch. He pushes himself across the ground until he finally reaches Gunko, who is floating in the air under Emu's control. Brook looks up at her and calls out Princess Shuri. He asks if she really is Princess Shuri. He can hardly believe it, but she looks exactly like her. Brook explains why. The blue hair, the mismatched eye colors, the connection to the Holy Land, and the fact that she likes his music, everything matches perfectly. He says that even if she is not the princess, she must be of that bloodline. If Shuri were alive today, she would be around 80 years old, yet Gunko is young. Brook says Shuri would not recognize him now because he has changed so much, but he has never forgotten her. Imu, controlling Gunko's body, looks confused as Brook approaches. Brook's voice then turns cold and painful. He says he hoped to never see Shuri again for the rest of his life. She was the one who killed the man Brook owed his life to. That man was to Brook what Shanks is to Luffy, someone who saved him and shaped his path. Brook calls her a patricidal princess, a father-killing princess. Before going back to the story, let's clear up their past. Gunko and Brook clearly share a history in the Holy Land. Brook was most likely a father figure to her. The man Brook says he owed his life to was Gunko's real father, and she is believed to have killed him. But the truth is probably darker. Her father was likely killed by Imu, or Gunko was forced to do it against her will. After that, Imu made her his servant, gave her the covenant, and turned her into a knight of God. In chapter 1149, Gunko is shown crying over her father's death, which suggests she did not choose this. Another memory shows Brook talking about his dream of becoming a pirate, implying Gunko's father influenced him the same way Shanks influenced Luffy. Brook went to sea. Gunko stayed behind and became Imu's servant. She is likely around 80 years old, but has not aged because of Imu's covenant. Back to the story, those words hit Gunko hard. Memories start flooding back into her mind. Imu coldly asks if her memories are returning. For a brief moment, Gunko breaks free. Her eye color changes and Imu's control weakens. She immediately tells Brook to run away. As her power returns, the bandages restraining Brook begin to loosen. The arrows binding the children also start to weaken. Gunko tries to confess something to Brook. She says, "Brook, I am," but before she can finish, Imu cuts in again and asks if she is trying to move on her own will. Imu forcefully takes control back. Gunko cries out in pain as her body is overtaken again. Imu fully regains control, and Gunko's eyes change once more. Brook shouts in confusion, asking why he should run and who Gunko really is. Imu, now furious, charges Brook with a powerful attack. She tells him to shut his mouth and demands to know who he thinks he is to Gunko. Brook blocks the attack single-handedly. The scene cuts to Usopp's group. During the brief moment Gunko weakened her power, Nami, Jinbei, and Usopp are freed from the arrows binding them. Only Robin remains trapped, still immobilized by Summer's thorn powers. At that exact moment, Sanji arrives and immediately calls out his lovely Nami Swan. The scene shifts to Branch 8 near the West Village. Sommers is leading the kidnapped giant children toward the ship at the harbor. Colin is among them and realizes Sommers is one of the demons Jarul warned them about. Colin demands that Sommers release them and fight like a warrior. Sommers laughs and says he finds Gabon's son quite entertaining, but tells him it is already too late. They have reached the harbor. The children are about to be taken to the Holy Land. Sommers contacts Imu telepathically and says he is dying to go back home. He asks if there is any final task before he leaves. Before the message finishes, Ripley, Oimo, and other giants arrive to save the children. Before they can reach them, a massive giant MMA appears and destroys the area with its sword as it lands. It blocks their path completely. The MMA is Nika, the god of destruction. The children cry out to their parents and tell them to run. Nika laughs and says they cannot run from this. He tells them not to underestimate him. The MMA is talking. He begins attacking, but the giants rush in and start striking his body. This only makes him angrier. He retaliates by swinging his sword repeatedly with brutal force. Gerd, Goldberg, and Rode arrive and witness the chaos. Gerd and Goldberg realize they are too far away from the children, so they decide to prepare a combined attack, but Rode stops them and says he will join as well. The three generals align their power and unleash a combined technique, 3 General Gokoku Sovereignty. The attack pierces straight through the Nika MMA's body, destroying it from the inside. The giant MMA goes unconscious and begins falling directly towards Sommers. Annoyed, Sommers swings his weapon to deflect it away. The massive body crashes down onto the ship meant to carry the children. The ship is completely destroyed and sinks into the ocean. The escape route is gone. The children can no longer be taken to the Holy Land. Sommers stares in shock, realizing just how badly he messed up. The story continues with Sommers in shock. The ship that was supposed to take the children away has been destroyed by the giant Nika MMA, and the same giant MMA has removed the sea clouds, creating a massive empty gap in the sky. The entire plan is ruined in an instant. Sommers quickly understands what this means. If the children continue walking forward, they will not reach any ship. They will simply walk off the edge and fall into the underworld to their deaths. He contacts Gunko telepathically and tells her to stop the children for now, to suspend the plan immediately. But he realizes that won't happen because Imu is controlling Gunko's body, and the arrow will not stop. Below, the parents rush toward their children. They see the harbor. They see there is no ship waiting for them. Panic spreads quickly. Sommers watches everything from the top of a MMA's head. The parents try to physically stop their children, but they realize the real problem is Gunko's arrows. The children are being forced to walk forward by those arrows. The only way to save them is to destroy the arrows. The parents swing their weapons. They slash at the arrows again and again. They strike with all their strength. Nothing happens. The arrows do not break. They do not even react. Summers tells them there is no way to stop the arrows, because if there had been a method, he would have already used it himself. As he watches, he understands clearly that the parents are trying to protect their children, but his thorns prevent them from interfering properly. Because of that, all the children will fall to their deaths. Then his expression changes. The fear disappears, the shock fades away. A twisted smile spreads across his face. He says this might actually be a delicious way for them to die. After all, it is Imu's mistake for controlling Gunko's body in the first place. If these children die, they can simply take more later. He realizes he does not need to feel scared or sorry. To him, this moment is amusing. He screams that the sound of parents and children crying in desperation is thrilling. He announces that the original plan was to take the children safely to the Holy Land, but because of this complication, they will now fall miserably to their deaths. The children keep walking forward. Oimo immediately rushes to his grandson Yolva. Without hesitation, he grabs her. The moment he does, Sommer's thorns pierce through his body. In the distance, Killingham watches the chaos unfold. The children have now reached the port, but there is no ship in sight. Oimo, now badly injured, falls to the ground. He says again that the only way to save the children is to stop the arrows, but since the arrows cannot be destroyed, there is no way to save them. The children will fall into the underworld. The parents grow more desperate. Sommers laughs harder. The children reach the edge. They are about to fall. They start crying for help. Flashbacks appear of their past moments with their parents, memories rushing through their minds as they understand this may be their final moment. Ripley suddenly steps in front of Colin with her arms open. As Colin continues walking forward, Summer's thorns pierce through Ripley's body. Thorns burst out from her back and sides. She apologizes to her son for not being able to save him. Colin cries and tells her to move away, telling her she will die with him if she stays. Ripley smiles gently and says she cannot let her son die alone. All the other parents do the same. They grab their children, they hold them tightly. Everyone is crying. Sommers watches all of it and laughs cruelly. Ranja stands alone for a moment and says they will be fine, they will be saved, but there seems to be no way out. Just before she can fall alone, her father rushes from behind, grabs her, and jumps down with her. Another parent arrives and does the same for their child. Johanna is different. She is an orphan. She watches everyone being embraced by their parents, and she cries. Then Ange arrives, the teacher of Walrus School, the woman who always treated Johanna like her own child. Without hesitation, she grabs Johanna and jumps with her. Now only one child remains at the harbor, Bjorn, the brother of Rode. A flashback shows Bjorn once telling Rode not to come to school with him because it was embarrassing to have a brother like him. Rode calmly replied that he would try not to. Now Rode arrives at the last second. Before Bjorn can fall alone, Rode grabs him with his arms. Bjorn cries, tears in his eyes, and says he does not mind Rode coming to school with him at all. Everyone is now falling. Summers laughs uncontrollably. He says if only the children had fallen, it would have been just 10 deaths. But since the parents are falling with them, the story has become even more thrilling. He laughs so hard that his stomach starts hurting. Then something massive rises from the underworld. A colossal body appears. It is Loki. And with him is Luffy. Loki is in a gigantic dragon form, not fully revealed at first, with Luffy standing on his back in Gear 5. As they rise upward, Luffy uses Gomu Gomu no Hara Senbei, an upgraded version of Gomu Gomu no Fusen. He inflates his body massively, creating a huge cushion in the air. Every single person who was falling lands safely. No one dies. Loki tells Luffy that when they reach the Sun Realm, Luffy will have to get off his back because he will get in his way. He claims saving them was just coincidence, saying he is a destroyer, not a savior, and that he was simply passing by. It is clear he is lying, trying to act like a destroyer while he just saved everyone. Snow suddenly begins to fall across Elbaf. Thunder and lightning fill the sky. The entire island starts shaking, the treasure tree atom, the castle, the ground, everything trembles. This is because of Luffy's Gear 5. His power spreads across the entire land of Elbaf, the scale of it even greater than what he showed on Egghead. The island begins moving in rhythm with the drums of liberation. The scene shifts to Ja Rule. He witnesses the snow, the lightning, the thunder, and the colossal beast in the sky. He remembers the sacred Harley text and begins speaking it out loud. On a strange day of snow, lightning and thunder, the sky shall be covered by a colossal beast, and along with the drums of liberation, the sun god shall appear. As he speaks these words, Loki fully arrives in the sun world. His dragon form is now clearly visible. Not just giant, but enormous, colossal beyond anything seen before. His tongue sticks out even in dragon form. His size is so massive that even Luffy's gigantic Gear 5 form looks small compared to him. This is the largest creature we have witnessed so far. Lightning crashes down from above, destroying the MMAs. Ragnar and Luffy sit on top of Loki's back, laughing and dancing. The story picks up right in the middle of the chaos. Sanji fires up his Diable Jambe, that leg of his bursts into flames, and he kicks straight through the thorny vines used to trap Robin. The fire just burns the whole thing away like it was nothing. They don't even get a second to celebrate, because right away they feel the crazy haki flooding the island and hear this massive dragon roar. Something is seriously wrong in Elbaf. Then they spot this enormous shadow moving toward the western village, Loki, in his full dragon form, carrying all the giant kids and their parents on his back, heading straight for the area near Elder Ja Rule. Luffy's still riding on Loki's head, and he's back in his original clothes, which confirms that the outfit switch in the last chapter may have been intentional. As they get close, some of the giants start shouting up at Loki, begging him to take everyone somewhere else because the western village is getting attacked by those Domy reverse giants. But Loki just shuts it down flat. He says he'll only drop off the people who are already on his back right now, nothing more. Zero interest in doing anything extra. Still, just bringing them there is enough. Elder Ja Rule finally gets on the Den Den Mushi and broadcasts across all of Elbaf, announcing that the children have been rescued, they're safe. That hostage nightmare is over, no more forced choice between their history and their kids' lives. Then, we see Loki in his absolute massive, gigantic, terrifying dragon form. The scale is just insane, it looks so amazing and terrifying. He's got one of the MMAs in his mouth, and he's crushing him, while the other MMAs are absolutely horrified by Loki, scared just by looking at him. Meanwhile, Luffy and Ragnar are riding on his back just having fun. At this point you have to wonder, is there literally a single drawback to this power? Luffy, still riding the dragon, looks down and realizes Zoro is there protecting the village. Zoro calls up to Luffy to take down the MMAs because they're a threat to Elbaf. Suddenly, dozens of thorns start shooting at the children and their parents. This is Sommers. He is absolutely furious. The entire plan has fallen apart. The ship is destroyed, the children are rescued, his leverage is gone. But he figures he can still take the children to the Holy Land, and first he's gonna finish off their parents. In his rage he creates an attack using his Thorn Devil Fruit powers. He forms 3 massive thorn constructs that look like machine guns made of thorny vines. It's a creative and menacing use of his ability. He aims them directly at the parents and relatives of the children, the giants who are still severely injured from when they sacrificed themselves trying to save their kids earlier. But then something incredible happens. All the giant children move at once. They line up in front of their parents and relatives, putting themselves between the incoming thorns and their wounded family members. Ripley sees what her son is doing and screams at him, desperate and terrified, begging Colin to run and save himself. But Colin plants his feet. He refuses to run. These young giants truly have the hearts of warriors, even if they can't physically fight yet. Sommers absolutely doesn't care about his mission anymore. It's actually amusing to him that the children will die trying to protect their parents. Seeing the children standing up to protect their parents, witnessing this display of courage and love, something breaks inside Sommers. Forget taking them to Marijoa. Forget the world government's plans. He just wants to kill them all now. He shoots more thorns, trying to massacre everyone in front of him. Then, Zoro flashes in. With insane speed and precision, he plants himself right between the thorns and the children. Using his 3 swords, he blocks every single thorn, not one gets through. He makes it look effortless. Sommers is shocked and pissed, demanding to know who this guy is that blocked his attacks so easily. Luffy answers with this big proud grin, introducing Zoro as his crewmate and telling Sommers not to forget the name. Then, Luffy springs into action. He reaches up with his left hand and snatches a lightning bolt straight out of the storm clouds swirling around Loki. With his right hand, he makes this scope shape, aiming and locking onto Sommers perfectly. He calls out the attack, Gomu Gomu no Dawn Thor Rifle. In Japanese, the kanji mean White Thunder Rotating Bullet. It's a Gear 5 evolution of the Thor rifle he used back in Dressrosa, now supercharged with Loki's lightning. Luffy's giant fist, blown up huge by Gear 5, rockets forward. The punch slams into Sommers' whole body while the lightning electrocutes him at the same time. Sommers' body literally breaks into pieces, his face splits into several parts, teeth flying out of his mouth, everything shattering under the impact and electricity. With Sommers wrecked, the thorns wrapped around the kids vanish instantly. The children are finally, truly free. Among the watching giants, Ripley, still injured and exhausted, speaks up before passing out. She says she believes Luffy is the warrior of liberation, Nika. The resemblance between his Gear 5 form and the ancient legends is unmistakable to her. Even broken and shattered, Sommers yells out in denial and rage, screaming that Nika is nothing but a bedtime story, just a myth told to kids. He refuses to accept what he's seeing. But Sommers' suffering isn't over yet. Loki's massive dragon foot comes slamming down from above, stomping directly onto Sommers' already destroyed body and crushing him into the ground. The size difference is ridiculous, it's devastating and somehow hilarious at the same time. The scene shifts for a moment to Gaban and Chopper watching from a distance. Gaban's mind goes back to a flashback from the day King Harold died, a huge moment in Elbaf's history. We see a younger Gaban with Shanks at Elbaf, talking to Elder Jarul, learning the truth about Loki's devil fruit ability. Jarul reveals it straight. The national treasure devil fruit that Loki ate is the Ryu Ryu no Mi model, Nidhugger, a mythical Zoan type. Whoever eats it can turn into Nidhugger, which Jarul calls the largest dragon in existence, full stop. But here's the key. The dragon's size is directly proportional to the size of the person who ate it. So while anyone can become a dragon, only someone with a naturally massive body can unlock its full colossal potential. And who has the biggest bodies? The ancient giants of Elbaf. This fruit was basically made for them. Loki, being an ancient giant, turns into something staggeringly huge that no normal human could ever match with the same fruit. Also, this was most probably one of the fruits Rox wanted to give to Harold. The other one still hasn't been revealed yet. Jarul keeps going, telling them about Elbaf's legendary god of war from ancient history, one of the most powerful beings to ever walk the island. That god of war had the Nidhogg devil fruit just like Loki does now, wielded the legendary hammer Ragnir, and was always accompanied by his loyal ice squirrel Ratatoskr. The chapter shows this epic image. On one side, the god of war, gripping Ragnir. Beside him is Ratatoskr, the ice squirrel. Looks a bit different from the current one, with pointed ears and different fur markings. On the opposite side is the sun god, and the drawing looks exactly like Nika. Jarul adds one more crucial detail. When the god of war died, Ratatoskr's spirit didn't vanish. It moved into the hammer Ragnir itself. So they're two different things. Ragnir started as just a hammer, and Ratatoskr was the squirrel. Probably the squirrel was so attached to his master that his will and spirit transferred into the hammer, guarding the Nidhugger fruit and waiting for the master's return. For the first time, it seems Ragnir has finally chosen someone. It's chosen Loki. There's also this extra bit that makes Loki's fruit even more special. It let him use his devil fruit powers even while he was chained up with sea stone. Normally, sea stone completely shuts down devil fruits and even weakens Haki for most people. But Loki could still access everything. It really suggests Loki is on a whole different level, able to use both Haki and his fruit while cuffed by sea stone. Back in the present, the MMA monsters are terrified and trying to run from Loki. He opens those massive dragon jaws and unleashes Thor Heim, in Japanese, the kanji mean Thunderworld. A colossal lightning blast explodes out of his mouth, lighting up the entire sky with this insane explosion. Most of the MMA monsters get completely wiped out in one shot. Any doubts about Loki's strength or whether he deserves his rep are gone now. This is power almost no one in the One Piece world can touch. Meanwhile, Luffy, in Gear 5, is just dancing around with Ragnir on Loki's back, having a blast watching the fight like it's entertainment. All through this, Imu is still possessing Gunko's body and watching everything. Loki's huge dragon, Luffy in Gear 5, Ragnir, the MMA monsters getting destroyed. But remember, Imu's real main body is still back in Marihoa. They are still fully present there while also being fully present here in Gunko. In the Room of Flowers, where the real physical Emu is standing, they realize that the Nidhogg they have been searching for all this time was present in Elbaf all along. Emu has clearly been searching for the Nidhegger devil fruit for ages, knew it existed but never knew where it was hidden. All these centuries it's been right there in Elbaf, passed down among the giants, protected by Ratatasker's spirit. Now Emu finally knows its location and exactly who has it: Loki. The implications are massive. What history is there between Emu and Nidhogg? The chapter opens with Frankie observing Loki's attack in the distance. He sees the carnage and chaos happening far away and wonders out loud what's going on over there. Right at that moment, Lilith speaks up. She's pulling something out of a special box, the same box that contained Dr. Vegapunk's clone. She tells Frankie she's glad she left this device here by the school. She reveals what she's holding, devices called Omni-Drain Converters. She explains these are ODCs for short. Lilith continues, saying that energy is filling this place, here and everywhere in Elbaf. The island is teeming with natural energy that can be harnessed. Lilith then addresses Frankie directly with a question that's been bothering her from an engineering perspective. She asks him if he's ever considered moving on something more than just cola before. She's genuinely curious why someone with his level of engineering skill has never experimented with alternative fuel sources. The scene shows the burning Walrus School and Owl Library. The flames are spreading rapidly, consuming the ancient structures. The Straw Hats watch the chaos from a distance, the library and the fight at the Western Village. Usopp is present, looking at the massive dragon Loki in the distance. He comments on the sheer size of that dragon, noting how huge Loki's transformed state is compared to even Kaido. But he reasons that since Luffy was riding on the dragon's back, it must be on their side. Nami shifts her attention to more immediate concerns. She calls out to check on Saul, asking if he's okay. Nearby, Sanji and Robin are checking on the injured giant. Saul is panting heavily, struggling with his wounds, but he's still conscious. He says he's going to the library, determined to save the books despite his condition. Nami makes her decision. She calls out to Zeus, telling him they need to hurry because the children are in danger and they need to save the buildings. Zeus responds that he's ready. Zeus has been preparing for this moment. Following Nami's earlier instructions, he stored up a massive amount of rainwater, growing to an enormous size in his cloud form. He begins releasing the water, activating pouring rain tempo, sending down sheets of rain to extinguish the flames consuming both ancient structures. But before Zeus can finish his work, a new threat arrives on the scene. Saint Killingham appears, accompanied by one of his MMA monsters. This particular creature resembles a lindworm, a dragon-like serpent. Killingham gives his command, reminding everyone present that they want the history of the world gone. He orders the MMA lindworm to attack. The lindworm's massive jaws open wide, and it lunges forward, chomping down on Zeus in one swift motion. The cloud creature is swallowed whole, disappearing inside the monster's mouth. Zeus vanishes, consumed by the nightmare creature. The Straw Hats watching are shocked and horrified. At that exact moment, without hesitation, Lilith activates the Omni-Drain Converters and deploys them. The devices begin their work immediately. They start extracting the fire energy from the burning schools, pulling in all the thermal energy from the flames. The effect is dramatic and instantaneous. As the heat energy is drained away, the temperature drops catastrophically. Both the Walrus School and the Owl Library freeze solid, covered in ice and frost. The flames are completely extinguished, replaced by frozen air and ice crystals coating the ancient structures. Nothing but ice remains where fire once raged. Killingham watches in shock and confusion. He asks what that device is, not understanding what just happened. Saul seizes this opportunity. Despite his injuries, he begins moving toward the library, panting heavily but determined. Robin moves with him, both heading to save as many books as possible now that the fire is out. Meanwhile, Lilith isn't finished. She's collected an enormous amount of thermal energy from those massive fires. She's converting it into something useful. She calls out to Frankie, telling him to try using this one. Frankie catches the bottle. Lilith reveals what she's created, Super Vega Cola. She explains to Frankie that his internal structure is designed no less than a pacifista. His body construction is on par with the world government's most advanced cyborg warriors. However, she was genuinely surprised to hear that his power source was just plain cola. She says the fuel is passion, acknowledging his philosophy, but also presenting this superior alternative. Inside the darkness of the lindworm's body, Zeus is trapped and scared. He calls out desperately for help. Nami hears Zeus. She responds immediately, telling Zeus she'll save him right now. Killingham sees Saul and Robin running toward the library. His face twists with malicious intent. He gives another order to his MMA lindworm. He commands it to crush the school entirely. He makes a declaration about history, stating that a new world can only be born if all of its previous history is destroyed. He wants to erase the knowledge, to wipe out the records of the past completely. Jinbei makes his move. He tells Nami that he will rescue Zeus from inside the monster. He prepares to dive to use his fishman abilities to maximum effect, ready to save the cloud creature. Killingham sees Jinbei preparing to act. His reaction is one of pure disgust and contempt. He makes a racist comment about Jinbei being a fishman, using the term gyojin with clear disdain in his voice. He expresses relief that he's wearing his air-filtering mask, stating he's glad so he doesn't have to breathe the same air as a fishman. The prejudice is naked and vile, the centuries-old discrimination against fishmen laid bare. Interestingly, Killingham himself is currently in his Zoan hybrid form. He has sharp teeth similar to Jinbei's own. There's a certain irony in his racism, given that his own transformed state bears resemblance to the very people he's denigrating. Sanji hears every word of Killingham's insult. He hears this world noble, this so-called holy knight, disrespect one of his friends. His response is immediate. Sanji appears directly in front of Killingham with blinding speed. His voice is cold, filled with barely restrained fury. He speaks, pointing out that Killingham's attitude is typical for a world noble. But what truly angers Sanji isn't just the general prejudice or the typical world noble behavior. It's that Killingham insulted his friend. Sanji makes it absolutely clear that he will punish Killingham for this insult. In the Straw Hat crew, that's an unforgivable offense. Then comes one of the most spectacular actions. 3 Straw Hats attack simultaneously in perfect coordination, their techniques displayed across both pages in devastating choreography. Jinbei executes his move from the water. He announces his technique, Vagabond Drill. His body spins through the water like a torpedo, rotating with incredible force as he drives his attack directly into the MMA lindworm from below. At the exact same moment, Frankie unleashes a brand new attack, powered by the Super Vega Cola now coursing through his systems. He calls out his technique, Strong Dexter. This is a completely new punch attack, named with peak Frankie energy and style. And Sanji completes the triple assault with his most powerful technique. He activates Ifrit Jambe. Konkase. His leg ignites with blue flames. He brings his flaming heel down directly onto Killingham's head with absolutely crushing force, putting the full weight of his fury and strength into this single devastating blow. The impact is brutal and complete. Killingham's helmet shatters into pieces, the protective air filter breaking apart and falling away from his face in fragments. But the attack doesn't stop at destroying the helmet. The kick continues through with unrelenting force, crushing Killingham's actual head beneath the heel, driving the holy knight into the ground with bone-shattering power. It's one of the most satisfying and devastating impacts shown in recent chapters. First Summers, then Killingham, then we getting Loki. It's just too much, it's so amazing. The scene transitions at Western Village. The giants who aren't under Domy Reversy control are fighting desperately to defend Elder Jarul. They're struggling badly against their transformed friends. The Domy reversed giants are proving incredibly difficult to fight. Every time the defenders manage to injure them, the wounds heal. The transformed giants keep coming back, keep attacking relentlessly, mindlessly trying to kill Jarul and destroy everything in their path. Among the Domy reversed giants, something changes. Dory and Brogy begin to regain some level of consciousness. It's not complete control over their bodies, but enough awareness to understand what they're doing and to speak. Enough to realize the full horror of their situation. Dory and Brogy manage to speak despite the corruption controlling them. They apologize to Elder Jarul, their voices filled with shame and anguish. They express their horror at their own actions. They insulted him mindlessly while under control. They attacked him without mercy, trying to kill the elder they respect and admire above almost anyone. They turned their blades against him, violated every principle they hold sacred. For warriors who have lived their entire long lives by a strict code of honor, being forced to violate that code in such a fundamental way is perhaps worse than death itself. They cannot live with this shame. Dory and Brogy exchange a look. These two warriors, who have fought side by side for over a century, who have been friends and rivals since they were young giants, who dueled each other on Little Garden for decades, who know each other better than anyone else in the world. Then they make their move. Dory and Brogy raise their weapons simultaneously, and they strike, not at their enemies, not in combat. They deliberately attack each other, executing one another in the same instant. They decapitate each other, their heads severed from their bodies, flying through the air. The giants watching are utterly horrified. Screams of shock and anguish fill the air. The giant warrior pirates' crew members are devastated, watching their beloved captains apparently kill themselves and each other rather than continue being used as weapons against their own people. But then something miraculous and unexpected happens. As Dory and Brogy's bodies fall to the ground, something changes. The ground beneath them begins to move in a strange way. The earth rotates, flipping like a coin being tossed in the air. It's the same visual effect shown when Emu used the Domy Reversy ability to corrupt the giants, but now happening in reverse. The transformation undoes itself completely. Dory and Brogy's bodies flip back to their normal, uncorrupted state. Their severed heads reattach to their bodies. The horrific wounds heal instantaneously and completely. The demonic corruption that had turned them into monsters disappears entirely, vanishing as if it had never existed. They stand back up, fully restored to their true selves, completely recovered, and most importantly, freed from Emu's control. The Domy Reversy effect is completely gone. Everyone watching processes what they just witnessed. The implications hit them all at once like a thunderbolt. The realization spreads through the crowd. When a Domy Reversy creature suffers a fatal wound and dies, the control breaks. And when the control breaks, the person doesn't stay dead. They flip back to their normal state, fully healed, completely restored to exactly how they were before being corrupted. This is the answer. This is how you save someone under Domy Reversy control. You have to kill them. It sounds absolutely horrific when stated that bluntly, but the end result is that they come back alive, healed, and free. It's a death that leads to true resurrection and liberation. The chapter ends with one of the most darkly comedic and perfectly executed. It's a full double-page spread showing 5 warriors standing together in a line, ready for battle, and all 5 of them are grinning. Not just smiling politely, but grinning with absolutely wicked, malevolent expressions. These are the grins of warriors who have been given permission to unleash absolute violence without restraint. The visual is perfect and hilarious. 5 absolute monsters, grinning like demons, pretending to be reluctant about the violence they're about to commit, while clearly being the exact opposite. They're going to tear through those Domy reversed giants with everything they have, and they're going to enjoy every second of it, all while knowing that every fatal blow is actually an act of salvation. The chapter opens at the Western Village, and it's complete chaos. Villagers are grabbing their kids and running, trying to get them somewhere safe away from the Domy reversed giants. The funny thing is, the children aren't even scared. They're watching the battle between the giant warrior pirates and the demon giants. The demon giants all scream at the same time, calling out to Dory and Brogy, who just got back to their senses. They tell them this power gives unlimited strength, limitless regeneration, and that it feels like being free, like truly liberated. Before Dory can even process that, one of the demon giants attacks him straight up, and the hit is strong enough to break clean through his shield and drive a trident into his arm. That's when all the giant warrior pirates speak at once, every single one of them. These are men who built their whole identity around honor and battle codes, and they're looking at the demon giants with nothing but disgust. The scene moves to the Sun Realm near Chopper's group. 2 Domy reverse giants have made it through to their position, and the situation is getting out of hand fast. Kashi is being attacked by 2 of them at the same time, but that's only half the problem. These 2 giants are his close friends. He's lived with them for years. He physically cannot bring himself to attack them. The demon giants notice this, and they laugh at him. They mock him, tell him he can't even defend himself, tell him to just give up and join them, become a demon like them, stop fighting it. Chopper cuts in and warns Kashi, telling him that if he gets caught between 2 Domy reverse giants at the same time, he'll get cursed too. That's how it spreads, at least 2 of them in contact. He tells Kashi straight, now is the time to fight, there is no other option here. Kashi says he can't. These are his friends, he's known them forever. The scene cuts to the main battlefield, and it's the exact opposite energy. Brogy comes face to face with Gantonio, one of his actual buddies. And instead of hesitating, Brogy starts talking to him mid-fight, telling him how whenever Gantonio asked for just one bite of something, he'd end up eating nearly the whole thing. He says this with genuine emotion, and then he swings his axe and hits him clean. Dory goes in with his sword, Ikoku Sovereignty. Hadrudin drives Gungnir into another one. Stanson brings his hammer down, Gigantic Drum. And then Zoro, the superstar himself, calls out his new technique, 3-sword style, Red Ogre Mega Fury. The attack completely destroys the demon giant's body, head, torso, arms, everything separated. These are killing blows, but that's the only way to bring them back. From a distance, Jarul watches all of it, back to Chopper's group, and Kashi still hasn't moved. He can't run, he can't attack, he's just stuck. Chopper makes the call himself. He pops a rumble ball and goes straight into Monster Point, his body expanding to enormous size, antlers massive, the whole transformation. He winds up and slaps one of the attacking Domy reversed giants. At first, nothing happens. The giant just stands there like the hit didn't register at all. Then something weird starts. A dark shadow slowly begins pulling out from the giant's body, rising up and separating from it. And then the ground under the giant starts to flip, rotating like a coin, the Domy Reversy effect running in reverse. The giant's body flips back. The corruption disappears entirely. The warrior is standing there completely normal, alive, healed, free. Chopper just undid the Domy Reversy without a fatal blow. Nobody knew that was possible. Everyone around him is stunned silent. Nobody knows how he did it. Maybe it's the devil fruit. Maybe it's the human fruit, specifically. Maybe it has something to do with what some people say about him being some kind of forest god. Nobody has an answer. The scene moves near the Owl Library to Sanji's group. Nami is feeding Zeus black lightning balls to keep the rain going because Elbaf is on fire, flames breaking out everywhere across the island. But the bigger news in this group is that Killingham is completely finished. His body has been separated into 3 distinct parts, and none of them are going anywhere. Jinbei has the head locked in his grip, Killingham's face twisted in rage and pain. Frankie is down at the legs, tying them up with restraints. Sanji is just sitting on the torso, casually using his own body weight to hold it down. Killingham is screaming from the severed head. He can't regenerate because the parts can't reach each other. Frankie suggests that if they box up the pieces separately, the parts probably can't reconnect. Sanji responds with that cold edge in his voice. He says there's a way to end these holy nights for good. Then the sarcasm comes through as he asks if these are really the knights who are supposed to protect the Holy Land. Frankie gets pumped and tells him, yeah, they're just that strong now, and reminds him that Luffy is one of the 4 emperors. Sanji says he hopes so. But what actually infuriates him is that something like Killingham, a guy they put down without breaking a sweat, managed to put all of Elbaf through this much suffering. That's what gets him. Killingham, even with his head separated from his body, still tries to keep the arrogance going. He tells them to keep underestimating him, calls them insects. Jinbei cuts through it and reminds everyone to stay focused. There's still one enemy who hasn't taken a single point of damage yet. Emu, currently in Gunko's body. That threat is still very much alive. Then Loki arrives, and he's got Luffy riding on his back. Loki is demolishing every remaining MMA creature in his path. The Straw Hats get their first real look at Loki's full dragon form, and Jinbei quietly compares the size to a sea king. Then Nami's voice cuts through everything. She is furious. Luffy and Loki both go quiet immediately, and the visual of these two absolute powerhouses suddenly looking like scolded children is something else entirely. Nami does not hold back. She goes after both of them. She questions if either of them has a working brain. She acknowledges, yes, the MMA monsters are gone, fine. But while they were handling that, Loki's massive dragon form and attacks burned down significant portions of Elbaf in the process. The very island they came to save. She tells them the whole point was to help Elbaf, and they've ended up destroying parts of it themselves. She tells them to think before they act. Luffy goes genuinely quiet after Nami's scolding. Not the playful kind of quiet, actually sad. Ragnar notices this, and in squirrel form slowly reaches over and pats him on the back. Just a tiny paw. A silent, it's okay buddy. But suddenly, Luffy realizes something. Instead of facing Nami, Luffy turns around and goes straight at Loki. He blames Loki entirely. He got yelled at because of him. This is Loki's fault. Loki shouts right back. All he did was destroy every threat to Elbaf. He fought the enemies. Why is he getting blamed for anything? Loki's frustration boils over and he fires a massive lightning blast straight at Luffy. The electricity hits and does absolutely nothing. The lightning is similar to Enel's lightning. Loki stares at him, confused, asking why his lightning didn't work. Luffy tells him plainly that if it had worked he would have sent Loki flying. Then both of them stop. They sense something in the distance, an explosion. The scene cuts to where the explosion came from. Brook is facing Emu in Gunko's body, and Usopp has just arrived running full speed toward the fight. Brook yells at him to run, tells him this isn't his problem, tells him he walked into this situation himself. Usopp doesn't slow down at all. There is absolutely no way he's running when a crewmate is being attacked. True warriors don't run. Elbaf is the land of warrior pride, his dream destination, the place he's wanted to reach his whole life. He is not running from a fight on this island. He calls out everything Emu has been doing, taking hostages, turning warriors against each other, using pawns and proxies, manipulating Elbaf from the shadows instead of facing it straight on. And he's not scared when he says it. He's angry, genuinely angry. Emu doesn't respond with words, just beats him. Fast, multiple hits, each one landing hard. Usopp's body takes real damage. Brook immediately moves to help and Emu doesn't even look at him, just paralyzes Brook from a distance without contact. Brook's body locks up completely. He can't move. He can only watch. Usopp gets back up. He points straight at Emu with his kabuto and says that Elbaf is a nation of warriors, people who live and die by their swords and shields, people with a code. If Emu actually wants to conquer this place, then fight them head on, fair and square, and stop hiding behind all of it. He calls Emu a wimp directly to their face. Emu's response is completely flat. A ruler doesn't need to dirty their own hands. Finally, Usopp fires his skull bomb grass straight at Imu. The explosion catches all of them. When the smoke clears, Usopp is on the ground unconscious. Brook is down beside him, motionless. Imu stands in the center, completely untouched and regenerating. Then Luffy drops in with Loki behind him in full dragon form, and Ragnar alongside them. The moment Luffy's eyes hit the ground, and he sees Usopp and Brook lying there, he goes still. Loki tells him quietly that this is the one whose haki they felt all the way down in the underworld. Luffy doesn't say anything for a second. He looks at his defeated crewmates. Then, he tells Loki he's genuinely mad right now. And that expression on his face, real visible anger, in Gear 5 of all things, that's almost impossible to see. Loki replies that he has no intention of letting these invaders walk away. Nika and Nidhogg stand together. At last, they meet in person. Meanwhile, Imu speaks, looking directly at Luffy and Loki. Nika, Nidhogg, obey or die. Then Imu adds one more thing. This battle shall divide the world. The fact that Imu says that with full confidence, standing directly in front of Nika and Nidhogg, means they have something planned. Whatever it is, this fight is going to be something else entirely. Alright guys, that was part 4 of the entire Elbaf explanation. Part 5 is coming real soon. Just like always, thanks for watching, make sure to like the video and sub to the channel. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.